wait for it to kick in. All right. Just waiting for it to pop up on my phone.
All good, man.
All right. We are back with the Blue Room podcast, and today is a massive day for me personally, and I hope it's a massive day for a lot of you out there. My guest today is Mike Froh of the Holly Springs Disaster, Dear Solace, and of course his solo projects, uh, Mike Froh. So, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up? How you
Hey,
doing?
good man, good. Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem,
This
man. Glad
is
to do it. Glad to do anything to stay busy right
Yeah,
now.
no shit. This is fucking honestly like this is fucking killer for me, and I really appreciate you being on.
No problem, brother. No
S-
problem.
So, with the whole like isolation thing and whatnot, like obviously you've been keeping busy doing live streams and live streaming music and stuff like that. So, and the karaoke, I caught the karaoke. That was fun. Tell me a little bit about that. Just kind of keeping busy right now.
Well, yeah, I'm really enjoying I guess the different types of connections that this quarantine is kind of forcing us to all have. It's kind of cool. I did so I've done a songwriting session. I did a karaoke. I did a Q&A the one day. Um, Karaoke was fun, but I won't be doing those again.
No.
No, I got. I don't know if anyone who watched till the end will notice that it just cut off. It just cut off immediately. Well, I got copyright flagged.
What?
Yeah, yeah. I guess you're not. Even though they're instrumentals and it's yeah, and I was just doing a live video.
Oh,
They took. Yeah, I
that's
got a
annoying.
copyright claim on Instagram and on Facebook at
What
the same
did they
time.
tell you what the song was that they copyrighted?
Message in a bottle by the police.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And it's funny with that one because I could have just done a cover of it. I have a cover on my computer, but I just chose to do the karaoke. I was trying to just do it like real karaoke that night,
Yeah.
but it bit me in the ass.
Oh, that's too
So,
bad. That fucking sucks. But
yeah, I mean, I didn't dispute it or anything, so it won't affect me.
that's
Um, I'm not new to this copyright infringement
no, that's
game.
fair. That was on Instagram or Facebook?
At the same time, both.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Well, I guess they're owned. Like Facebook owns Instagram, so that makes sense. So that they.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And they're
Uh,
probably using the same, I imagine it's a software they're using
yeah,
that is detecting, and they both detected it right at the same time
of
and
course.
axed it. So no more
Uh,
karaoke, but I'm gonna find other ways to. I don't know. I'm getting stir crazy.
yeah, as like a lot of us are, but I like for you especially, I would assume that it's kind of like spurring your creativity and you're like I'm sure you've been writing like obviously you've been writing a lot doing the writing sessions and stuff like that and building up more songs for like another EP and whatnot.
Hmm.
Do you have another EP in the works?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sitting on probably like 14 songs right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but
That's
they're for
fucking
like different things, different sounds, because I'm a little bit um I don't know, all over the place with the sounds and stuff. So yeah, I've got a lot of music coming. And yeah, it's weird because I think for a lot of us creatives, like the quarantine life isn't that different than real life,
right.
than normal life. If you're like really passionate about your craft, you go to work and you come home and you do your craft all night. Or if you're lucky enough, you can do it all day because you can pay your bills by doing it, right?
Totally.
But yeah, I'm in a weird place because I'm loving this creativity. But I'm also like I work in healthcare
Yeah.
and I just am finishing up my college course right now. So I'm employed, but because I'm in this college course and doing clinicals right now, I can't go into work
Right.
because of cross contamination between work sites. And so I'm literally just like waiting.
Yeah.
And I like to help. I'm a big helper. So like it's good. I was really creative for I'd say the first 10, but the past week I've had to like almost force creativity.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
no, you're gonna sit down
Yeah.
and do something. You're gonna create right now. So
I know exactly what you mean. It ebbs and flows, and it's kind of this whole situation has been really interesting in terms of that because it does um you do view it as an opportunity where it's like, oh shit, like I can actually like make shit and be creative, and then you have like a bad day and you're just like, I want to lay on the couch all fucking day today and not do anything, and then it kind of, before you know it, like 3 days have gone by and you're like, well, that, and like what you're saying, you got to force yourself to get back into it.
yeah, exactly. Oh God, I had one of those, and I chose the day started. I was like, I'm gonna do nothing today. I'm gonna watch Netflix, and I watched the Tiger King.
Which is the hottest thing right now.
I it was one of those things that I was like, okay, everyone's talking about it, everyone's talking about
Yeah.
it, and then it just got to the point where it's like, how can I avoid this any longer?
Yeah.
So watched it. It was great, but I'd say by like 5 o'clock that day, I was starting to feel like I was like, what am I doing? Like, why do I feel like I deserve a day to ride the couch? Like, and that's a new mindset I've kind of trained myself in, that you like earn your relaxation.
Earn your days
So
off.
I ruined my day of relaxation because I was like, I don't deserve this.
You felt guilty the whole time. That's
100%.
that sucks.
Yeah, but like you were saying, like if you apply yourself right now and you can catch up on everything that you're able to do from home, whether it's being creative or like do your taxes or something right now, which I did yesterday. Um, boy, it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels really good. Those days are awesome, but
Well, and
I
just
feel sorry, what were you
no,
gonna
go
say?
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I feel really sorry for there's a big population that has nothing to do right now.
Yeah.
And then you add mental health problems or you add addiction on top of that, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's oh, it's got to be really lonely for a lot of people right now, because it's lonely for people like myself that are kind of treating themselves okay,
Right.
so I don't know. I can't wait for this shit to be over, but then every time I read the news I'm like, oh
Yeah, it's not getting any closer.
no.
And I was talking to another friend of mine about this where it's like we've kind of almost put ourselves in this mentality of like um we're going to wake up one day and it's just magically going to be over, which is not the case at all. It's going to be this weird long transition of like kind of getting back to our new normal, not even what the normal that we had. Like it'll be this new normal of okay, like bars can reopen and they're only letting 50 people in. Like it'll kind of we saw the decline into like nothing's open, and then see an incline back into that. And
100%.
it's going to take a long fucking time.
Yeah, and like it will not happen overnight, and the economy doesn't just turn back on overnight.
Nope.
So fuck, I had a lot of really big plans for this summer when it came to music and trying to get back out there traveling again
Oh, like
and
touring?
performing. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and the reality of that is even if our social distancing laws have or guidelines have changed by then,
Yeah.
I'm not sure the economy will have bounced back enough by say August for artists like myself to feel comfortable going back out there, um, on two ways. Like, will it be financially, will I lose money going out myself?
Right.
And the other thing is like, will I feel okay going out on the road, asking people to A, pay money when they might be strapped for cash, and B, put themselves in a room with a few hundred people for maybe the first time they've done that in 6 months and just cause a whole bunch of panic attacks that night. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it in a grander scale. So I'm like, yeah, I've got together a live stream concert that I'm going to do here
Oh,
coming up. And like, we got to find a way to adapt, right?
yeah. And that'll be killer. Like,
I hope so. I mean, yeah, I'm excited to do it. I'm just like, we're at this weird place now with all of us where, you know, it really is a turning point for artists of all genres, of all like visual artists, audio artists, whatever. It's a turning point in our side hustles or careers where we can now say like, I gotta find a way to make some money off of this.
totally.
If that's your only income now, because right now music is my only income. I can't go to work right now.
Right.
So it's making me be creative in a like hustle way, which is I think good for someone like myself who's terrible on the business end of things.
Which, yeah, and to that point, we're in this because we're all in this together,
Yeah.
and everyone is at home. Like, content is king right now. So
Yeah.
having the ability to kind of stream and do things like that, and get yourself out to your fans in that way is really important right now, because you're going to keep the fans that you have currently, and you're going to grow your audience even further
Oh hell yeah.
by doing shit like that.
I think every social media platform and every entertainment entity that's online based right now is witnessing like their biggest numbers
Oh yeah.
in the past however long. So yeah, great time to capitalize it. And I'm really looking into these cool ways of where you can give pretty much all your content for free, but at the same time, like I like the Patreon model right now where you can be like, here's my music, but if you want my music before everybody else and you want to, I don't even know. Like there's an artist I saw recently who was doing one-on-one. It wasn't like counseling, but it was pretty much. It was like call me and talk to me for half an hour
Right.
about whatever's going on in your life because I don't want you to feel alone. But they had that on their Patreon.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of like, and I'm sitting here as someone who's like a big mental health advocate. It's like, is that okay to charge money for that? I mean, like a counselor's fine to charge money for, right?
For
But
sure.
us, and I don't know if I would call this person a celebrity, but an entertainer. Is
Right.
that okay? I don't know. I don't really want to cross those worlds too much, but I want to find a way where I could like do those live. I think Twitch is a good platform because you can do a live performance. People can basically, I think, donate to you,
Yeah,
but they can also just watch it for free and enjoy it.
for sure. And and to that end as well, like having more people watching it as well kind of boosts your rank up, and like the more people you have watch it could get you on the front page, which in turn
Right.
gets more people watching. And
Did YouTube adapt that now too, where live viewers, like of your live stream, can they donate to you or give you money?
that much I don't know right now. I can't monetize my channel yet,
I
so
think
I
that's the whole thing. I think that's the whole thing. Once you can monetize your channel, you probably can ask for it.
probably, yeah. And there, and I would, in fact, actually, now that you say that, I think you can, because it's not they've kind of built this system where you buy what are called they're like called stickers or something.
Okay.
So then you as the viewer buy the stickers, and then you give the stickers to the streamers, which in turn turns into funds. I think that's how
Okay.
they've kind of. And
So they're basically adapting the model from like porn websites.
I guess
Like
so.
the what do you like Chatterbait. That's
Is that how they run that?
yeah. That's
Okay.
how all those live feed things. I know a girl who makes a fantastic living off of one of those websites. And it's never like here's $5. It's like here's 20 tokens.
Yeah,
Here's
20
gold
tokens.
tokens.
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So
and in turn, it's like the not to equate it to this, but it's the Chuck E. Cheese model. You know what I mean? Where you go in and you spend real money on the tokens to go play the games, and they give you more tokens than so you pay $20 and they give you 300 tokens. So you
yeah,
feel like you're getting good value for your money, even though in reality you're not, like it's kind of the same model where if you're giving them 20 gold stars or whatever the fuck it is, that equates to $5. You're not equating it in your head to $5.
right.
Yeah, it's kind of that makes sense, I
That's some
guess.
tricky marketing shit right there.
It is, and it's literally just to it's the what is it, the serotonin thing or the endorphins, like
Yeah,
for people where they can kind of feel good or whatever, just kind of almost like,
those pleasure receptors, baby.
yeah, oh yeah, it's all about that.
Yeah, and they always like bing. You'll hear a bing that goes with it too. It's like training the.
Oh, that was me that made that bing happen.
Yeah, well, and what is that? There was a scientist who did the thing with the bell and a dog. He
Yes.
would ring a bell and then feed the dog. Ring a bell, feed the dog. Hey, here comes my dog, as I say that. And then the dogs would start drooling when
Yeah.
he'd hear a bell.
like
Well,
like Jim did to Dwight on The Office
yeah.
with the
Oh my
with the
God, yes,
Altoids. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Oh Lord.
so I wanted to ask about like the healthcare stuff that you've been, because I've been following you for years. So um what aspect of healthcare are you moving into?
So currently, I'm employed working with elderly in
Okay.
long-term care. So I'm a care assistant or a support worker, is what they would call it in some provinces. Um, and so I'm going to school right now to get certified with that,
Right.
because once you work as that for 2 years, you have to get certified, or else you have to be certified within 2 years. So I decided to get that, and I'm still undecided if I'm going further into. It's either going to be psych nursing, or addictions counseling, one or
Okay.
the other. But I'm undecided right now. It's like, uh, well, actually, right now would probably be a great time for me to just take out another student loan and keep investing in my education, because who knows how long till I'll get in the workforce. But yeah, I'm looking to work, uh, inspired to try and get into the mental health and addiction side of things.
Oh, that's good. That's yeah, because I mean you've had your own, like you've battled your own demons when it comes to that stuff, as
Hmm.
comes through with your music and in kind of stuff that you've posted, like because you're sober now
Yeah.
and have been sober for how long have you been sober now for?
Oh, what's the date today?
It's the March or April. Oh my God, it's
It's April
April
now.
April 3rd.
Wow. So in 9 days, it'll be 11 months.
Wow, good for you.
Thanks, man.
That's fucking killer. And I mean like that's like that's got to be, obviously good for your health, but just kind of a killer accomplishment, something you can be proud of, to be like, hey, like I'm not abusing myself in these,
Hmm.
and it takes a lot to kind of identify that within yourself.
Yeah.
Like I know I have a few friends that have kind of admitted to, like, hey, had some problems and now they're uh, fully sober for years now, and it's a really, it's a really good thing to identify those kind of demons. And
100%. And I think it's our generation. It's starting to become the. I don't want to just talk generally about guys, but just because I have experience with myself and my other male friends, it's just so ingrained in our Canadian culture, especially our prairie culture, to get shit faced with the boys, right?
totally.
Um, so I'm happy though. Like as a child, I would have never expected or not a child, I guess. As a teenager, I would have never expected the people that have shown me support. I would have never expected them to be the people they are. Getting sober is actually not really frowned upon anymore,
Nope.
which is so good. Um, And I think there was a bit of a stereotype attached to getting sober, especially with our uh, like the age group above us. Like they just stopped having fun,
Right.
or they became like. I think a lot of people think if you work a 12-step program that you're automatically going to become like a God-fearing Christian.
Yeah, too preachy and
Exactly. And I'm just happy like this quarantine stuff happened this year, not last year when I was still using, and I did be a scary time to be an addict. And I'm still an addict. I'm just a recovering
of
addict now.
course.
So, um, but yeah, like it's given me some purpose in life, past just getting drunk and high. And like I love music. I've always loved music, and getting drunk and high. Um, I don't know if it necessarily ever helped
Right.
me make it. Maybe it did at times to get a little more creative in a altered state, maybe. Um, but it definitely interfered.
Yeah.
Um, I think a lot of people were, including my bandmates, like Holly Springs Disaster, they were very surprised. They were very surprised when I came out and said that I was getting clean and getting help, and I quit drinking and using drugs because, I mean, they saw me party on the road, but not a lot of people saw me have a problem with
Right.
these things because I hid them. Um, so I surprised a lot of people when I said I got clean, not for the fact that I was getting clean, but more for the fact that I had a problem,
Right.
which is funny. Like talk about, um, I was able to trick myself and a lot of others into being a functioning alcoholic, a functioning addict.
Well, which an addict is want to do. Like that's the
Oh
whole
yeah,
that's part of the
that's
game.
yeah, that's like the best outcome for an addict who wants to stay an addict is to just
Totally.
be functional with it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean it's been a hard year. I won't lie. The first bit of sobriety wasn't brought on by happiness.
No.
It took some trauma for me to want to get sober for myself. Um, because I think throughout my life I've had different. It's usually a girlfriend or so, or my ex-wife would notice. They would notice it. Someone who spent every day, all day with me would notice. And not my friends, not my coworkers. I never lost a job because of this or something like
Right.
that. It was the people I love the most that would see it.
Well, and the ones you're closest to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even there was still a separation even between best friend and those ones that are like, those girls that you live with, my mom, you know, because my best friend, he suspected it,
Mm-hmm.
that there was a problem going on, but he never brought it up with me, and he wasn't certain until I told him.
Right.
And this was my like homie that I confided in.
Right.
So, um, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun kind of defying the norm of sobriety,
Totally.
you know. Um, I've been to the bar since being sober. I've been to karaoke uh, with people drinking around me. I don't think that your life needs to stop because
No.
you get sober. I don't want that. I met a really great guy, and I do. I go to 12-step meetings, like I do. I'm part of that stuff, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also still me. And I think I'm more me now that I'm sober than I ever was kind of able to be.
Well, I
Um,
feel like you kind of trick yourself into believing that you are this person when you're altered.
exactly, exactly, and it all becomes a defense mechanism. It all becomes coping. If it's it, I've never met an addict that it doesn't have um, some underlying problems, trauma in their youth, their childhood, maybe even just trauma in their adult life, or they're suffering from depression or anxiety or sadder things than that, even just horrible things that have happened to people that they're bandaging every single time they take a drink. It's not the same as as someone who's not an addict when they take a drink. It's not that, this feels nice. What a great week we had. It's, especially by that second drink, let me drown the pain.
Yeah,
Let me forget about whatever's bugging me.
totally. Yeah, no, and like I said before, like I'm super stoked for you on the sobriety front. Like that's really killer. That's a killer decision that anybody can make for themselves in terms of identifying that and working to move past it. And I think you do really well with the mental health addiction side in the healthcare because you have that background. That's
Yeah,
just my thought,
I
but
hope so. I hope so. And if I'm going to be completely honest, me getting help early on in my recovery and those people that I met in the healthcare industry
yeah,
as a patient. I mean, a lot of people that I've gone to school with this year don't know this about me. So if anybody does watch it, they're going to learn that. But I'm open with being a recovering addict and like open with my clean time and stuff like that, but not open with the process.
no,
But the people that I met getting help were the people that told me to get into healthcare.
hmm.
And I remember being there saying, like, why are you telling me this? Like, at the time I was recovering, just getting off of being a drunk and a drug doer and also very depressed.
Yeah,
And I just couldn't believe it. But these were people who saw, just because I was an addict or just because I was struggling with my mental health, they still saw potential in me as a human being.
totally.
And and that inspired me and that made me want to get into that into that workplace however possible. So I've had to start from the ground up being a care aide because I had not great high school marks, right?
Much like a lot of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And
No.
I did not want to go back to high school this year. I thought, you know what? I can get a job doing this. I can also get the education while I'm working
Yeah.
and I'll humble myself at the same time. It's a humbling job, man. So, yeah, like I hope that in the end I think our scene, this punk rock, hardcore, metal, whatever genre you call your scene, there needs to be enough voices spreading like the PMA, positive mental attitude, right? Yeah. Because there's lots promoting like drug use and partying and stuff like that. But other than straight edge for me growing up, there wasn't a lot of, well, it was like straight edge or Christian bands that push like a healthy message, and then everyone else.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up because like in the case of say like Under Oath, they were pushing that message but secretly battling their own demons behind the scenes, right? Which there's been
Yeah,
plenty of articles. So it's kind of
I don't judge that either. I
no, I
did at
no.
one point. I'll be honest, I did when I was still an addict.
Right.
I judged it when I was younger. It would have been. Those guys are some of the nice. Like I met them when I
Yeah.
was 18, very young. I met them.
Yeah.
They're some of the nicest people in the world, and of course, they're gonna have problems just like anyone
Well, of
else
course.
does.
They're human. That's
Yeah,
and we put I will agree with the whole the judgy part because like I did at one point kind of I had a little bit of a judgmental mindset when it came to like some of that shit coming out at the
hmm,
time. Not anymore. Like, but like we put these people on pedestals, and when that gets shattered, it kind of changes your worldview and skews it a little bit for a while, especially if you have if you're holding particular values,
yeah,
close to your own heart. And so that I fully agree with you on that. Like there's no point in judging them for any of that. Now it's to me, I look at it as like an interesting part of their history or
yeah,
an interesting part of anyone's kind of roadmap to where they are now.
yeah. And look at where they are now.
Oh yeah.
Like it's incredible. I mean, Spencer, all the music that guy's done in and out of his problems with addiction and mental health stuff, he's, I mean, why did Taking Back Sunday? ask him, right? It was Taking Back Sunday asked him to fill in when Adam was sick there for a bit.
Did they?
Yeah, I believe so. And Spencer's not even that good of a singer. He's just one of the best frontmen ever.
He's an incredible frontman.
So incredible.
Yeah.
And I need to, maybe I need to fact check myself because somebody's going to be like, you're lying. But I'm pretty sure what happened is when he got clean, um, he ran out of money. He broke himself.
Right.
And I think what somebody I'm going to look this up while I'm saying it, but I'm pretty sure somebody in Taking Back Sunday, if it wasn't Adam, is so close with him that they were like, okay, we need to get him back on his feet financially. It was less about like who's the best guy for the job.
Right.
It was more about who's our best friend that needs help right now.
That's super cool.
I think let's fact check this quick.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, please fact check that because like if that's a real story, that's fucking incredible.
And I wonder if
have you ever while you're looking that up, have you ever seen?
I'm right.
You right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they've came out with it being like the whole details that I gave there.
Whoa. Did we just get some juicy like gossip on?
I don't think so. I
No.
feel like that's been talked about. I don't think so because I'm not tapped in like that. I'm looking like shit though. Did I know? Yeah, like he had a baby, I believe, is what happened. Adam had a baby.
Okay.
Yeah, he unexpectedly had a baby, and then they called Spencer. I think Spencer's been open about this, that like saved his life pretty much.
Oh, okay, that would make sense then. Yeah, like if that would make sense that Spencer would have talked about that.
Yeah, because he's pretty open for, especially for. Wait, is Under Oath still signed to like Christian labels and stuff?
I don't know about that. I don't know if the newest album. I think
I know the drummer is still like.
Well, because it wasn't Tooth and Nail. They were on
Solid State.
Solid State. Thank you. And I know. Oh, I was going to bring this up. If you've ever seen like that Under Oath documentary, that I don't know if it ever actually came out, but there was this Under Oath documentary going around that I happened to find on a torrent site that like had a whole bunch of like behind the scenes footage of like one of their. I think it was around the time that their Only Chasing Safety was definitely out, but I don't know if Define the Great Line.
They were recording Define the Great Line,
right,
weren't they? And there was studio footage mixed in with stuff.
Yeah, there was studio footage and there was tour footage, and then there's this one part of the documentary where they go off and they're all sitting in a room, all 7 of them sitting in a room, and they're like talking with their managers and they're going over contracts and they're trying to figure out why they're not making any fucking money. Because they're like, we're really popular, but like I think Solid State had written them into this like crazy deal where they made no fucking money.
Mm-hmm.
Like and that's happened a lot in the record industry and whatnot. And
so much like, yeah, it's weird. There's not a lot of money to be made in the punk hardcore genre to begin with,
right?
But then to have crooks at the top of it,
yeah,
it just boils my blood. Like there's so many you can look up that have been. I mean, all your favorite labels as a kid, their owners are, just Google them.
Yeah,
they've all done shady shit.
Oh yeah,
including those Christian labels.
Oh yeah, 100%. I believe that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I got to watch my tongue what I say about labels. I got a cease and desist from a label once for what I was saying. So like, and like this is from a punk rock label, and I just messaged the owner back on Facebook, like, get fucked. And like, is a lawsuit for me speaking the truth? How punk is that, bro? Like, get a grip. But in the end, a lot of those companies were doing whatever they could to just keep the lights on too. They weren't making a lot of money either.
No,
that's the thing. Like Under Oath at that time was like, what the fuck, where's all of our money? Well, that record label didn't have it either. They blew it on some other band that sold nothing for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the other harsh reality that nobody wants to talk about in this genre is like, okay, Victory Records screwed over some big artists.
Yep.
But it was so they could put out, like, I mean, there's bands from Canada that got signed to Victory for one record.
I have friends that got signed to Victory and then got screwed over. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
it
And no offense to your friends, but they probably didn't clear the 5,000 cap mark of sales,
no.
right? And if you're not clearing that, not only are you not making the money, but they're losing money on
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Yeah.
Like they lost money just putting out your record.
And those deals are structured in a way where they're putting up the cash up front that you have to essentially, as a business, pay back off
Hmm.
the sales of your record. So and that's a
And
typical record contract.
totally. And a lot of the labels will structure in a way that it's kind of ambiguous in how they word it. So they're like, you'll get 50% of the royalties once we've cleared our
Yep.
costs. And they'll just leave it at that. And you're
Yep.
like, oh, that sounds great. 50-50. I mean, our costs cost nothing putting out our record. Well, it's going to cost however much they need it to cost. They might,
Exactly.
yeah, they'll find a way to just be like, yeah, we spent 15 grand on marketing and you guys didn't sell anything. And you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you spend that on marketing? We didn't ask you to. Oh, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And do they really spend that money? I still don't get it. I've been in the music industry for 15 years now, and I still don't understand it all, where the money all goes.
And to that point, movies are structured in a similar way too. I was reading an interesting article recently where Men in Black, which came out in what, 97, like
Hmm.
years ago, that movie is still in the red to this day because of the way the studio has structured it in keeping it like not profitable. So the people that had those back end deals, they've made nothing off like a hugely successful movie because the studio's like, oh well, they just kind of shuffle things around and they're like, well, this is still not paid or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
the
Well, and I wonder if does that trickle all the way down to Will? Do you think Will hasn't seen any residuals from Men in Black?
that I don't know. Like,
I almost guarantee he's seen residuals because he's done 3 of them now, right?
yeah,
And the last one he did was like
well,
way after them.
it's true, and it's possible that because he would have gotten that, like when he signed on to do that movie, he would have gotten his upfront, like, this is 5 million or 10 or whatever it is to like
Yeah.
do the movie, so he would have gotten paid up front, whereas like writers or like
They get
certain.
like a flat rate and then they get points or something on the
Exactly.
royalties, right?
So
Yeah.
you're right.
And
He may not have seen any royalties, but
mhm.
they're giving him the upfront deal in order to do the movie, and then they're giving him a bigger upfront deal to do the second and third one because they're like, well, the first one was so successful, like we know in the studio's eyes, they're like, we're gonna make money off this. We're just gonna make it look like it's not gonna make
Yeah,
money.
we're gonna make it look like we didn't.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think that's another good thing with this kind of quarantine going on. It's showing a lot of artists how little they need from anyone else.
Yep.
Like Code Orange is doing really awesome things right now, and
Yep.
they're just I don't know, they're just broadcasting like from their homes, and they did that one gig with an
Oh,
empty hall. Like
that show was actually fucking rad.
it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was.
I love Code Orange.
Yeah.
They basically like single-handedly got me back into just like straight up hardcore music again.
Yeah, they're doing really really
Or
good
it's
things.
not straight up hardcore, but their old records were, and that's what kind
Yeah,
of brought me back. And now they're like, it's like Nine Inch Nails meets
yeah, it's
2020 hardcore. I don't even know.
yeah,
It's
it's
great.
well, their shit is their new shit's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, and I
fucking.
think, for the next little bit of time here, it's going to be the innovators, people that can make their band or their brand. Is a lot of people look at their like Code Orange, they would never say that, but when I look at it, they're a brand.
Oh yeah.
They've got a look, they've got a sound, they've got this loyal following that's like they got them on the Billboard charts with this record.
Yep.
They were right under Billie Eilish. They're a fucking brand. Um, but they're like, I'm sorry, they could be doing all this right now without Roadrunner. They could.
Oh yeah. Easily.
Roadrunner isn't who's telling me about Code Orange.
No. Code Orange is telling you about Code Orange.
Yeah, and that fucking kid that I trust, his taste in every hardcore band that I've never heard of, but he's like, this is next one up, I'm telling you. I heard that like when they were Code Orange kids, I was already hearing about them. Like, you gotta check. I think they're from like Scranton or something like that, or somewhere in Pennsylvania. I think they're originally from.
Yeah.
And that's like there's so many bands from that region that have blown the fuck up. And I'm sorry, none of them needed the labels that blew them up.
No, and that's I mean we're living in the the SoundCloud era, the Spotify era, and the like you can literally do everything on the internet with a little bit of, like look at Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
Like that dude put that song up on SoundCloud and blew the fuck up.
Yep. And he owns 100% of the royalties for that, or 100% of the rights for that song too.
Does he?
I think, yeah, like him and whoever the producer was on it, because they had no distribution deal or anything when they first inked it. Like, young man is laughing.
Well, and so how does because I know Trent Reznor, there was the whole Trent Reznor thing and Atticus Ross. Like they won a country music award because of that song, because there's a sample that they
Right. See, I don't know. You know
so
what? I kind of tuned out when that stuff hit.
yeah,
That kind of bothers me. I wish everyone would just get over that.
which
Like, the sampling. Like, let's all just sample. Who
yeah,
cares, man? Like, I don't know. If somebody, well, okay. No, yeah. Right now, if somebody blew up off of a sample of my music,
right.
I would be stoked. I'd be stoked. At least I'd be able to tell people that something I wrote got sampled into something that's huge now. Um, I there's just so much greed attached to this
Yeah.
industry, and like people that were living super lavishly had to kind of check their pocketbooks when the whole streaming age came in, and now this is their new way of trying to get a dollar out of a young artist. Usually it's usually a young artist that's getting sued over a sample.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I would hope in the case of like the like when it comes to Old Town Road and Trent Reznor, like I would hope that he's just kind of like, because like the dude's massively successful himself. He's a fucking Oscar winner. Like I would
Exactly.
hope that he would be like, oh, like that it was more like his lawyers or somebody else was like, oh hey, like you're attached to this thing, and he was kind of like, okay. And they're like, you're up for a country music award because of it, or like you're attached to it as like a writer for, and I would hope that he was just kind of like, all right, like that's cool, but like I don't want anything from it.
Yeah.
Like that would be ideal. That's like the ideal story from that, where it's like, yeah, like that's great. I don't want anything from it though.
Well, and I'm reading a little bit about it now, and in the article with Rolling Stone,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't I'm not seeing anything about him wanting financial. He said it's flattering,
Yeah.
and he thinks that Old Town Road is undeniably hooky.
Yeah.
So the reason I haven't stepped in to comment about it is because I don't feel it's my place to play any kind of social credit to that. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I mean. If these kids think your old hook or whatever is so cool, they're gonna sample it and then make the next thing. Be happy that you're not being forgotten into the
Totally.
next generation. You know?
Totally.
I don't know, but I've never had anything sampled like that. So how would I know how it feels?
Well, maybe one day. That'd be
We'll see.
fucking. That would be honestly fucking killer.
Yeah, I'll say it now. That would be great. And if anybody likes what, I think I've been asked by people like, can I get this? Can I sample that? I always say yes. I never really give them the sample though. I make them work for
Ah.
it. Right?
Yeah, that I mean, and that's totally fair, because if if you want something, you should have to work for it.
Yeah, and I had to work for my sample. So you gotta
Exactly.
work for yours.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Let's talk about your music a little bit. So, with because I mean, you put out two EPs. No, you put out a lot last year. In 2019, you kind of like the Mike Froh brand.
Yeah, I think I put at least 3
4
out, maybe. I don't know.
You put
I
out,
did a few last year.
you did Imaginary Friends, Fake Friends, I Need to Clean Up, And just at the tail end of 2019, you put out the Bars Revisited,
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was busy at the end of last year.
which is and I love all of it so much. Like it's so fucking good.
Thanks, bro.
Um, I want to ask like the because imaginary or fake was which one was first, imaginary or fake friends?
Fake Friends came out first.
Okay, so where do those like where do those titles come from? Like what are you drawing on from that?
Okay, the Fake Friends was in reference to the kind of social circle that surrounds you when you're using or when you're an addict, and just how and yeah, just the toxicity and the it's just not real. Nobody's there for the real friendship. There's always something else attached to it.
They're there for a good time.
Exactly. So that's where Fake Friends came from, and then Imaginary Friends. I wrote that song when I was just like probably 2 or 3 months sober,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2 months sober, and it was at a point where I felt like there was a lot of people that had just kind of turned their back on me.
Right.
Um, People that I thought were close friends that just kind of ghosted. So I kind of went on the imaginary friends. Like I was just, and I was spending a lot of time alone at that time, writing and just being alone in nature. And I remember that whole idea of like being a kid and having these imaginary friends around you that keep you entertained. That was another idea that I kind of was playing on too. But it was it was yeah, it was just kind of touching on what I felt like the reaction of certain people was to me making. I mean, I made a big change, and I did. I crossed the country. I left Toronto and came back to Saskatchewan. So
Yeah.
um, it's an easy way for myself and for other people to disconnect. And over the time now, I've connected with a lot of those people again, and I wouldn't call them all imaginary or fake friends. Sometimes we're just all in a weird spot, and it's hard to connect. I think a lot of people were that were close with me during those tougher times. They almost felt bad reaching out to me,
Right.
almost like reminding me of those times. I think
Right.
I'd noticed. So I don't know. You live and you learn. That's where the titles came from, though. Just like a play on. Yeah,
Just shit.
I was quite moody at that time.
Fair. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean that makes sense. That make. And then I need to clean up. I can pretty much
Yeah.
I can figure that one out. That one's pretty.
Yeah. You know what? I'm happy I put that out. I'm not in love with those songs. Um, I don't regret putting them out. I've never put a lot of time into promoting them though. It was more of like a therapeutic thing for me.
Okay.
Those were the like two old songs that I'd found. Um, I went on like nearly 2 years of writing nothing.
Right.
And those were two songs that I found that were like salvageable from that time. And I wanted to kind of clear my hard drive and get rid of all those bad memories, but at the same time, both of those songs I felt like needed to just get out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a few people reach out to me, and that's all I need now. If even just one person messages me and said, like, man, I needed to hear that song. That's exactly how I feel today. And then it makes it totally worth it. And both of those songs, and the whole EP, it's clear what it's about.
Yeah.
There's no what's the word? Shit. What word am I looking for? Like, there's no secondary meaning
No.
to it.
No. No.
What is
It's
it? A euphemism?
metaphor.
Metaphor? Metaphor.
Yeah.
Jesus.
There's no metaphors there. It's you're
No.
you're 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 not burying the lead with that with any of those titles or those songs.
No. Yeah, the titles of the songs are When I'm Alone and I Need to Clean Up. So,
Yeah. So, one thing this has always kind of stuck with me for years and years. One thing I want to ask you about is so you put out the Bars Revisited in December,
yeah.
and obviously the Bars was a Dear Solace song
Yeah.
that featured the piano motif from Showdown.
Right.
a Holly Springs song. So that piano motif that kind of starts off that song has kind of like that's followed you for a really long time. And like um so like what tell me about that specific piano like motif just kind of popping up every so often in your work and
Yeah.
like what that means to you.
Whoo. You know what? It's like one of those things that I'm not even 100% sure what the real memory is anymore, or if
Right.
it's something I've made up.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that piano part. I wish I should text Tony right now because he'd probably know. Um, I believe that song was written as a Dear Solace song before we had written My Pet Monster
Okay.
and Showdown, because that's like the whole bridge.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Showdown into My Pet Monster. And when we wrote My Pet Monster, I don't think it had that as an intro. Like it wasn't something that we were conscious of. I believe how it went was we wrote Showdown. We had the piano breakdown in that song do 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 do. And then if you listen like the end of that breakdown, it just kind of ends and that piano continues on. Well,
Doom, 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 where it kind of just echoes out and then it do, do, do.
yeah.
Yep.
And I think really what happened was we wrote those songs. We started jamming them. I was playing the keyboards live at those practices, and I realized, shit, this is in the same key
Right.
as the bars. No, you know what? That's not how it goes.
This is believe me, Mike, this is endlessly fascinating for me. I
Mm. Well, no, because I just realized, like, it's called the bars.
right. And that's another thing I want to ask you about is like where
That's what we called the bus. Our bus that we drove in, we called it the bars.
okay,
That picture that you're seeing on the cover of the Bars Revisited,
yeah.
that's all of us sleeping from Holly Springs Disaster in our bars, our bus.
That's what I assumed. Okay, so that's where cuz I tried to Google like what a barse is and
Yeah,
there's like
it's a made up word, man.
what I could find was that it had something to do with fish, and I was like, well, I don't fucking think that that's what it is. But okay, so it's literally just a made up word, the bars.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that is awesome.
yeah. It was like, hey, bud, meet me at the bars. Like, meet me at the bus, and then it just went to bars. Meet me at the bars.
Oh, that is endlessly Canadian. Holy fuck.
Yeah, so Canadian. And now that I just like, no, because it was called the bars.
The song was?
Yeah. So if my song was called the bars, that obviously had to have been written as I was touring with Holly Springs Disaster, because I don't think like that bus was from my original band, Away From Here.
Okay.
And I don't think we called it the bars. I think that was a Holly Springs thing. So that story should actually go, band wrote My Pet Monster and Showdown, and then I really liked that piano part and
Right.
wrote
The bars.
Everyone in the Room Knows But You, I think, out of it. I don't know anymore. That's like 13 years ago
Oh,
or
easily.
14 years ago.
Yeah, 2006, 2007-ish.
Yeah.
That's
I still, I don't know. I love that part. That's probably, that whole section of the Holly Springs record is my favorite part of that record. And that part of the Dear Solace record is also my favorite. I just love that part.
and I would agree with you. It's so recognizable, especially like well for me, and I know for a lot of people that have been listening to because we me and my friends like we all still like jam the Holly Springs album endlessly. Like every once in a while, it's just like fuck. I need to listen to something like heavy and angry and beautiful and fucking like just so joyful at the same time. And that album encompasses all of that
Right.
in those what is it, eight or nine songs? Like you
I think
guys,
it's 7.
is it
Maybe it's
seven?
8 with an intro.
Yeah, like I'm pulling it up here. It's 8. 8 with an intro. Yeah, and I love the intro. Just that little like does it just the kind of walking through the door, lighting the smoke and the to lamb. Oh my god, that shit is it's just so endlessly fucking uh recognizable and fucking that defines my teenage years and my
Mm,
well and early kind of 20s, and I know it does for a lot of people in Canada. Like I think for me, I'll go on record saying that Holly, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you now. I'll say this because it's legitimately true. Holly Springs is one of the most influential bands that ever came out of Canada.
I don't know about that.
Dude, it's I fucking truly believe that, and I've always believed that because
Mm,
those songs are perfect. End to end, that album is fucking perfect.
mm. I love that record too. I appreciate that, man.
And
Um,
like I said, I'm not just saying that because you agreed to do this today. I've always felt that.
I yeah, I appreciate that. It's weird for me, um, like just recently we got a nod in alternative press.
Really?
Yeah, like just recently about us being one of the forefathers of Southern rock.
See, I'm not wrong. Like
No, you're not.
it's
But to
dude.
me, I'm just like, okay, it's a really weird situation with Holly Springs because I'm so proud of those songs
Yeah.
and very proud of what we did as a band. But I think what a lot of our followers don't realize is like when we were out there doing it and going hard and touring for like 8 to 10 months a year, nobody talked about us as being one of like the most influential Canadian hardcore
Nope.
bands or like I don't we kind of had a bad name actually because there was damage done at our shows sometimes and like we were a wild bunch. So when we were trying, we were dying for some respect
Yeah.
and so for some credibility. We weren't able to find it, and then we broke up right as it was kind of starting to peak. We
Yeah.
thought it was starting to peak. We were starting to do really big, good shows, headlining them then. No, we'd been doing it for a while, but like those rooms were starting to get up into the thousands
Yeah.
people rooms and stuff. But the legend and like people being like, that shit made my life and like the tattoos and like all the craziness that happened like after we broke up. That happened. That whole legend has happened between like 2010 and now.
Yeah.
I mean, and then when we came back and did the Danforth shows, I think that just kind of solidified the legend, like for us too, because we didn't think like I don't know.
It
It's
was
it's
it was
something to do with being like Saskatchewan boys, but we're just like nobody likes us here.
right.
Like we have hardly any following in our home province, and it's ingrained in us as a Saskatchewan society, as farmers, to downplay your success, to not gloat, to not because nobody likes somebody like that out here.
Right.
They're just like fuck off with your pretentiousness.
Right.
So we played into that, and then or not played into it. That's just who we were. But then when we came back and did those shows, and it was like, dude, I lived in that neighborhood at that time, and I went to the Danforth all the time for concerts. And for me especially, it was like I don't think the rest of the guys got it as much as I did. Like
Yeah.
the fact we were at the Danforth for 2 nights selling that venue out.
Yep.
Our like the company in that other artists that are selling that venue out for 2 nights at that time, like there really wasn't a lot of other Toronto acts doing it. Oh, they were way bigger. They're either like way bigger or, I mean, people have done it since us. I think Silverstein has done like 1 or 2 nights there and stuff,
Yeah.
maybe. Um,
What's the capacity of the Danforth? I wanted this is another thing I wanted to touch on.
I'm not sure. Maybe 2,000,
Okay.
maybe.
That's that like that's and I've seen the videos from the Danforth shows, and they like the place is fucking packed.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Oh, and I when you guys announced those shows, I was working for WestJet at the time, so I had the like I live in Calgary, but
Yeah.
I had the ability to fucking hop on a plane and get to Toronto to go see them, but I had to work. Like I couldn't get the days off to go to work, so I was forever bummed that I didn't, because I've seen I saw you guys play basically every time you came to Calgary.
Yeah.
I think, and like the Gateway show where you did the all ages, and then the
The
18.
bar show afterwards.
Yeah, I went to both of those. That was a fucking fun day.
Dude, that was
But
a wild night.
no, I think you're definitely right that hindsight being what it is, everyone is looking back and appreciating what you guys did. You know, in hindsight, when you're in the moment, I know there was lots of us that obviously loved you guys and went out to every show and stuff like that. But you're right, you weren't necessarily appreciated in at the moment, right? And
Right.
it's kind of one of those, like, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And boy, did you guys go out on fucking top, because you know, there's I'm not saying that you guys would have put out a shitty record for your second one, but you know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like, we don't know what would have like. There's no telling what would have happened
Mm-hmm.
if you had continued on, or shit like that, right? Like,
Yeah. I see, that's a weird one for me to think about because oh, how much can I say? Yeah, like I look back, okay, I'll say this. I look back on that record we were trying to write for the second one.
yes,
Um
which
and there's
I've heard a couple of the
demos.
like King
Yeah.
Kong and
Right.
the other one,
King Kong, Godzilla.
Godzilla.
Yeah, there was a few demos that came out, and those songs were okay. They're pretty good. But we had a few other songs written that, and you know, now that I'm far enough away from these songs and we're all on nice and friendly terms, they didn't hit right. They didn't feel right. They weren't Holly Springs.
Right.
And now that we all are, I mean, we all chat now. We're all good buddies again. We were trying to get recognition on that second album. We wanted to be, because we were playing with really talented bands at that time. We were playing with Architects and Protest the Hero and Straight Reads the Line and some really proficient musicians, like really good.
Right.
And our songs were not hard to play. Like, fucking 14 years later, and I can still, and I shit you not, I can play every instrument on that record.
Really?
Yeah, I can play the drums, I can play the guitars, I can play the bass. I know the whole record start to finish, and I am not that good of a musician at all those instruments. So that, like, we all were self-conscious of it. I even remember the boys, like, just being kind of like, we can't just do chug, chug, chug anymore. We can't.
Right.
But that was where we started to lose what made us that. Because it wasn't about the chug, chug, chug. It was about everything. It was about that song. It was about that message. It was about what was said over top of it. It was the feeling that you got after the chug, chug, chug.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so we lost sight of that, though. And I think all of us now that we're all fucking old men, we look at it and we're like, damn, we were trying to be something that we weren't, because we just weren't comfortable with who we were at that time as men, as young men. I think if mental health could have been in a place where it is now, and addiction stuff could have been in a place where it is now, and we all could have been a little more comfortable talking about it, could have saved our band too.
Totally.
You know, it's sad. But hey, thank fuck we're all grown adults now, and we've got our lives together in a place where we're all talking. I mean, I'm going to one of their weddings this summer. Fuck, it better happen. So.
Yeah, fuck.
Jesus. But like, I wouldn't change it for a world for I wouldn't change any of it for anything in the world.
No.
But if I could go back, the only thing I would change is just being more open and honest with each other about like feelings,
Right.
which is fucking hard as young men to talk like that,
Well,
you know.
you don't want to be the fucking loser who talks about his feelings in
No,
front
I
of your.
talked about it enough in my lyrics. I didn't need to talk about it in person, my feelings.
Yeah, and that that's fair. No, man, you know what, the AP thing, like them giving you guys that kind of recognition now, that makes me happy
Me
because you
too.
fucking deserve that. All of you. You guys
The bands that they listed us with too, it's like it was exactly who I would have made the article. Every band that they put in is who I would have put in, and then us. So
who
I
who
was like,
who else did they list?
number one was Maylene and the
Okay,
Sons of Disaster.
which I want to
He,
talk about them a little bit with you, but go on.
sure. Um, he is legend.
Yep.
Uh, okay, the other two, and these two, they were like, they're not that much Southern bands, but they put out some Southern records. Memphis May Fire
Okay, fair enough.
and Every Time I Die and
Yep.
us.
Wow. That
And we were above, I think, the Memphis May Fire. They kind of slipped them in later, I
they
think,
put
to just kind of be like, they were.
they put Memphis May Fire in there and they didn't put in Norma Jean.
Ooh, I wonder. I could be wrong on missing the Norma. There might be Norma Jean or Chariot in there
Yeah,
too,
because
maybe.
I was gonna say, and it's funny that like now that you kind of list all those bands, those are all my favorite fucking bands. So like apparently I really like Southern fucking metal.
I think so. But see, because I like all pretty much all those bands too.
Yeah,
I didn't really listen to Maylene, but I listened to all those other bands, and I never really listened to them thinking like this is Southern rock. And I didn't even think that much about our band, but then we started being labeled it, and then we started playing into it, and then right, it just
come on,
becomes a
cowboy,
thing.
don't you back down.
Yeah, well, exactly. That song was written, I think, after we'd already done a few shows.
Oh, okay.
I think. I don't even know anymore. I'm trying to find this article just to make sure that I'm not missing any other bands that they listed us with. Somebody tagged me in it on Facebook the other day, so I'm not sure if it is an old article or a new article that I'm just seeing now, but
Fair enough. No, but that's still, I mean, like that's definitely like recognition that you guys 100% deserve. Like I fully agree with the fourth fathers of Southern rock. That 100% makes sense.
if you say so.
Well, I'll go to my grave saying it, and yeah, and in terms of like, I mean, it's kind of nice to hear. It kind of gives a little bit of closure in terms of like hearing that you guys didn't feel when you were writing songs for a second record. It's comforting knowing that you recognized the that it wasn't uh, true to yourselves, so you
Hmm.
didn't follow. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's almost comforting hearing that in a
Right.
sense where it's like you know obviously there's lots of us that would have loved a second record, but in the case of like let's say Maylene made three really great records. And then I actually, when they came to town, they played the Gateway, and I was talking to Jake because they had come previously. Actually, they came to Calgary on the tour where Skylar from He Is Legend filled in for Dallas.
Oh yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if
I
you
remember
saw.
that tour.
Yeah. So actually wound up hanging out with them. We went to a Denny's after the show when
Of
Skylar
course.
was with them. Yeah. And then when they came back, this is right on the cusp of them putting out four, their their
Okay.
their fourth record, and I was having a conversation with Jake after they played, and he was kind of telling me a little bit about the record, and he was like, "Yeah, man, like it's gonna be awesome." He's like, "I was like, are you guys calling it four?" Because they hadn't announced anything, and he's like, "I don't know." He's like, "We're kind of toying with the idea of not calling it four or whatever."
Right.
Then the album comes out, and it's not them. Like the entire album was not. You could tell that somebody had stepped in and overproduced them and kind of taken away what made them unique.
Right.
And so uh had a conversation with Jake after the record came out, and it was like, "Hey man, like what happened there?" And basically what had happened is they were almost promised like radio recognition and worked really hard to get radio playability and whatnot. And it just
Mm,
really sad. That whole saga ends really sad because then Dallas had his horrible quadding accident, and now that like he can't even like he's still recovering from that, and that was like
yeah.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So like we'll never see another Maylene record, but it's just sad
Probably
that
not.
like somebody stepped in and took away what made them unique.
See, I've never listened to that Four album, I don't think. Don't do it.
If you're going to listen to it, if you're going to listen to 3 and then immediately listen to 4, and the contrast is so drastic. It's
Okay.
fucking unbelievable. Like it's worth listening to through once. I'm not like and Maylene's also another one of my favorite bands of all time, and it like hurts me to say that like that album is not remotely their best work at all. Like it's not
Uh,
even it's almost like they tried too hard. Yeah, like I said, like they tried too hard to get the radio playability, and it just falls flat in so many ways.
so what have you, as someone who considers yourself a fan of them,
Yeah.
would you have rather they just ended at three altogether and that album didn't exist?
Going back to what I was saying before with you guys not putting out a second record because you didn't feel it was up to what made you unique and made you Holly Springs Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% would say yes. They should have. If I would have rathered that record not existed.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take away from what they gave us with 1, 2, and 3,
Right.
but it kind of just like it's almost like you can kind of look at it like what was the point then?
Right.
Because you
Well,
weren't they were
see, with that, but here's the thing about just my experience with that. Like at the time, I definitely know all five of us didn't know what we were writing wasn't working
because
because
you're in the thick of it.
exactly. Now, full disclosure, I think at the time I was the only one who was like, "Yo, this isn't us." I was saying that, but I was also the only one not living in the house. There was a house that we had.
In Moose Jaw.
Yeah, and I
I have
still
a
lived in
funny
Weyburn with my girlfriend.
I have a funny story about that house, but go on.
The cube is what we called it. But yeah, like we were writing like all wrong for that record.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at the time, me feeling like it wasn't us was separating us too, because I think whoever was writing those songs at the time really felt it was us because it was them.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I'm just so happy now. This far down the road, we at least all five of us now can agree on the same thing. Like, yeah, those some of those songs were not good for us. And what was good about us, we can all agree on now too, as grown men, which is pretty cool.
That is super cool.
So who knows? You know, you never know. We're all stuck in quarantine. Maybe we'll finish a record one day.
Oh my god. Please don't give me that hope. And like I would fucking that would be killer.
I'm stuck at home, man.
Uh,
There's nothing but possibilities
this is
right
true.
now.
It's funny you bring up the house in Moose Jaw because in 2009, so this would have been I was actually in a band and we went on a tour. We started in Winnipeg and then worked our way back through Saskatchewan
Okay.
and back to Calgary. And our show that we had booked in Moose Jaw wound up, the promoter, I think it was the day of, was just like, hey, show's off. Like, we're like show's not happening. And we were on. There was three bands on tour. One from Ontario and the two of us from Calgary. So as a group, we were kind of like, well, we have a day in Moose Jaw. Like, what are we gonna do? So a couple of the people from one of the other bands, they were like, you know what? Why don't we go and talk to like City Hall or whatever and see if we can get a permit to play at the little amphitheater
Right.
in the park there. So we wound up getting a permit to do it, and we put on a free show for just whoever showed up. So while we were like setting up, these three kids or whatever came over, and they were just like talking to us. They're like, hey, you guys are in bands. This is cool. Like, we want to talk to the guys in bands.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to them, and I knew that you guys were from or were like living in Moose Jaw
Right.
at the time. And I was like, hey, I was like, does anybody know the Holly Springs Disaster guys? And one of the kids was like, I do. I know where they live and whatever. So I was like, that's fucking rad. Please take me to their house. And I am not that guy at all. But for whatever fucking reason that day, I was like, no, I want to meet them. So
we're going.
Somehow I wound up at the Cube, as you call it.
Yeah.
And I think it was Andy and Josh were at the house. And they were in the living room watching an old Stanley Cup like playoff game on the TV, just doing bong rips. So somehow I wound up doing a couple bong rips, got way too fucking high. And then I had to find my way back to the park to go play this show. And I showed up. My bandmates were so pissed because I just fucking disappeared. And like I showed up like maybe 10 minutes before we went on to play. And I couldn't even remember the fucking lyrics to my songs because I was so ripped out of my fucking head. It was amazing. It was one of the most amazing days of my life.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fucking so random. And
that sounds exactly like what would happen in
Yep.
Moose Jaw, though. Like, of course. Like, I'm sure if you came to my hometown right now and stumbled upon some kids and said, yeah, where's somebody know where I live too? It's fucking creepy. And of course you got too high.
Oh yeah.
We got everyone too high at that house.
Oh yeah. It was bad.
I got a whole tour too high. My girlfriend, she met up with us like halfway through the tour, and I'd left her a bunch of pot and was like, yo, make this into butter and bake for us. So when we get here, you know, you'll have all this baking for us. Well, she did. And it was killer stuff. Like, even for me, who was like the godfather of edibles and everything, it was really strong. So then it was banana bread. Oh. You can ask anyone on this tour too. Like, Structures was on this tour.
Yeah.
Architects and Textbook Tragedy.
Right.
And I was feeding people the banana bread, and like one slice was like making people so high they were vomiting, like they were nauseous high and shit. And at the same time, I won't name names, but there was somebody in one of the bands that brought basically like a honey oil like processing unit with them, and just had a bag of like shake trim from the grow op or whatever, and they were just every day just running honey oil, so they had honey oil to smoke. Like,
that's Trailer Park Boys of them.
I was just gonna say that like at that time, the way that we lived and the stuff that we got away with, I very much felt like Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, that's amazing.
We pulled up to a spot check in Northern Ontario, a spot check for a kidnapping, like Amber Alert type spot check. And we were in the bus, the school bus.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the time, but there were people smoking in the school bus, smoking weed. I was sitting on a lawn chair in the front seat, beside the driver doing shotgun. And I was wearing a weed thong. I was wearing a thong, and that's all I was wearing up there. And yeah, we hit the spot check, and this cop saw everything. I know he smelled the weed, but he just looked in and was just like, I don't got time for this shit. Because they would, like they needed to find this
Oh
kid.
yeah.
And they just knew, like, okay, these fucking hicks from Saskatchewan doing bong rips in the back of their bus. Like, they don't got this kid. We better just let him go. And that happened a few times. Like, we're so lucky none of us have records. And I wouldn't be able to work in healthcare if we would have ever got caught for any of that stupid shit we used to do.
That's a good point.
Yeah, man. I'm very lucky. So, I live a much safer lifestyle now.
No, that's good. That's good.
Dude.
That is fucking one hell of a tour story. Jesus Christ.
You want to hear the craziest?
Well, that was my next question.
I've got two of the craziest tour stories ever.
All right.
And one is just like, I probably shouldn't name names, but I may have already told this in a public forum. So, when I was 18, my first band, like right when we graduated high school, my first band got asked to do the Canadian dates of the Warped Tour.
Okay.
We had a really good selling CD on smartpunk.com, if anybody remembers that website.
Wait, what year was this?
2004.
Okay.
2004.
So you would have done the Calgary date then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I probably would have been at that show. But go on.
Probably. It was the year. Were you at the Calgary Warped Tour where Coheed and Cambria played, and he was like, the singer was Claudio was fucking wasted and was like talking shit to the crowd and making fun of him, and a tornado hit that day? Or like,
I think I watched Coheed either the next year or the year after that. I've heard about that, but I didn't see it live. I must have been watching somebody else at that point.
Okay, well, it was that year. But yeah, so we're on Warped Tour. We're way out of our element at this point, too, because we're just a little rinky-dink band from Weyburn. We're all from Weyburn at this point, which is like 10,000 people.
Right.
First show of the tour is at the UBC, so the University of British Columbia, on the campus grounds for Warped Tour. I think at the time they called it like Thunderdome State. I don't know. It was a huge fucking... we're just like we hadn't played for more than like 200 or 300 people at this point.
Right.
And we get there. The show itself, our first Warped Tour show went horribly. There was probably there's 20,000 people at Warped Tour, right?
Oh, easily.
Probably.
Yeah, easily.
There was like 25 watching us.
Oh.
Maybe. So it was fucking. I remember just being like, "Oh, we suck. Like, why are we even on this tour?" But then, and like the people I met on this tour really helped with everything that came after it. But at the time, I was just like a fish out of water. This band, Yesterday's Rising. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Like, I fucking loved them. And I buddied up with them day one, and we were all minors at this point.
Okay.
And they were like, "Yo, fucking, this is where you go," because they'd been doing the whole American run.
Right.
And so they knew all the ins and the outs. So day one of Warped Tour, we get done. I think we're a horrible band, but then all of a sudden I make these great friends. I leave the rest of my band behind too. At this point, I'm just like, you guys suck. I was good today. Like, I don't know. I was an arrogant little teenager, and I left with Yesterday's Rising. We went to the Monster. It was like Monster Energy, those alcoholic monsters. We had the artist passes. So if you have the artist pass, you get free drinks. So then there's free drinks. Then they introduced me to From First to Last.
Oh, boy.
So, yep. And this is when Sonny was still the singer.
Yeah.
So day one of Warped Tour, I make really good friends with Sonny.
Oh, boy.
Like huggy good friends with Sonny and Matt.
Was he wasted?
No, I think he was pretty sober at that time. I think he's always kind of been pretty sober.
Well, the only time I ever saw From First to Last play
was he wasted?
Was in Calgary at Warped Tour, and I want to say it was like 05, 06. He was fucking wasted on stage.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. He was a minor when I was playing. He was
that
like
makes
15
sense.
years old.
Yeah, that makes sense. He, like, when I saw him, that would make sense that it was a couple years later. When I saw him play, he couldn't even he could barely stand up, let alone actually like stay in tune with the song. It was actually really sad. Like, it wasn't funny to watch. Like, because I really wanted to see them play, and it was a bummer. But anyway,
Yeah,
go on.
that's one of the most like I find that so sad when I see an
Yeah.
artist like that on stage. It makes me so sad for them and sad for the whole audience for like wasting their money on that. I don't think that there's too many videos of me like that. I don't think. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think if there was any nights that I got that out of control
Mm-hmm.
on stage. I usually saved it for afterwards. But
Yeah.
okay, regardless, I'm not finishing this story. So I make good friends with from first to last. They start giving me their because they had better artist passes than I had. We were
Right.
like the bottom level tier. We get some free drinks and get into backstage and stuff.
Right.
Well, they had the ones where you got like full catering and everything. And I will always say like Matt Good from First to Last is probably one of the nicest people I've ever met ever playing music. So every day he's giving me his artist pass to go get lunch. And so the one day I'm with the guys from yesterday's Rising and I'm wearing From First to Last. It says I'm in From First to Last on my little carabiner pass thing. Well, all of a sudden, and I swear it was the only reason I got invited is because the guy looked and was like, "Hey, he's from First Last. They're kind of cool. He can come too." So we got invited onto a very, very big bands, like a punk band's
Bus.
tour bus.
Okay.
And this is my first experience now on a tour bus.
Right.
And these guys are legends. Like I'd seen them at least 5 times as a kid. Their band name references drug use. And they're just fantastic. But
Is it who I'm thinking it is?
Might be.
Okay.
I'm not gonna confirm nor deny.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to confirm nor deny on the air.
But so yeah, I walk into this bus. I'm surrounded by guys that I'm just like, oh my god, like they're all legends to me, and I'm just out of my league. Well, I get to witness my literally like a childhood legend look up from doing a rail, look at me with that kind of face.
Yeah.
Get the fuck off our bus! Just screams at me, and I get kicked off the bus. That's
Amazing.
my first moment as like, I want to be cool and hang around the rock stars.
That's amazing.
I got kicked the fuck off the bus. Yeah. What kind of punk rock are we talking about with the band that you think I'm referencing?
Can I tell you what letter it starts with?
Sure.
N.
No.
Oh shit. Okay, then I have no idea. You tell me when we're not live, because I'm genuinely interested about.
Yeah, I got you. I'll tell you off.
Sick.
But I'm not gonna, cause this
no,
guy.
That's fair.
He's kind of known for this now too.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
No, that's
so that was a wild story, and that was like my first experience of like upper tier bands.
Okay.
So that shook me to the core. I've forever been scared of like meeting my idols.
Well, yeah.
You know, they always seem to just like, yeah, they're never what you think.
No, and that's pretty hard. I've gotten pretty lucky with meeting a few of my idols.
Yeah.
Like I met Dan Harmon in L.A.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that was fucking.
He's a nice guy though. He's a little bit.
He had, when I met him, he had just. He was season 4 of Community was on the air, so he was like in the middle of like, okay, I got fired from my show and I'm kind of figuring out what my next move is. So he was just doing we went down to go see him do his podcast, right? So he was just kind of like, he was obviously still very famous, but like I stood there and like talked to him for like half an hour. Like he was, you're right, the nicest guy in the world. And he's a generally nice guy, but I
think he's a real person. He's not a narcissist. He's a
narcissist 100%, but
not a clinical narcissist.
Yes, exactly.
Because if he's like, I'm a narcissist, like I'll say I'm a narcissist with things too, but there's that different type.
Yes.
Where they don't think they're a narcissist.
Right.
Those are the scary ones.
It's an ego thing where he keeps his ego in check in certain instances.
Yeah. Well, and you need a healthy amount of ego to be a prolific creator.
For sure.
To just write one, like there's plenty of people with no ego that have written a good record or a good song, but there's nobody who's got like a long-term career that doesn't have a healthy expression of ego, because
Of
that's what you're
course.
expressing, your
Of
thought.
course.
You know, I found this article. I'm just going to cut back. I found the article.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's maline cancer bats. That's a big one I
Oh
forgot.
shit.
And Liam, like, fuck, he
Oh
just
my
smacked me for
god.
forgetting them. Good friends, like, and I don't know why I forgot them.
I'll let you finish the list, and then I have a cool story about seeing cancer bats. But go on.
Okay. He is legend. Every
Yep.
time I die.
Yep.
Holly Springs.
Yep.
The ongoing concept.
Oh,
Never.
okay.
Yeah, you know them?
I'm familiar. You know what? I actually they're less metal, more. Well, no, actually they're pretty metally. They literally have their one album like is like kind of like a tan color, and it's got like a drawn saloon on the cover. Like they're like almost cowboy metal.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like
Okay.
they're
Maybe I'll
pretty.
check them out. Yeah, the rest of them it's like Memphis Mayfire, Wilson, and then bands I've never heard of. Feed the Rhino, and
Okay.
Once Nothing.
Once Nothing was the one you've never heard of. Once Nothing.
No.
Okay, one that was actually that's great that they put them on the list, because that was one I was going to suggest to you if you
Okay.
hadn't heard of
I've
them.
got it queued up to listen. Whoa, it started playing. I got it queued up to listen to after we're done this chat.
The album First Came the Law.
Okay.
That
That's the good one.
Oh my god, that album is fucking unreal.
Okay, the song I got queued up is off of that Whiskey Breath.
Oh yeah, Whiskey Breath's a good one.
So that's their top 10 Southern hardcore bands of all time.
Well, they nailed it with the list, that's for sure. And that's
I'll take that one. That
I
feels nice. I'll be honest.
no, and it should. I think out of that entire list, the only one that I'm not super and even then, like Memphis Mayfire, like they definitely did some stuff that I was super into, and then they kind of their less southerny stuff I was just like, okay, like I'll pass. But
Yeah.
like I can definitely see why they're on the list.
See, I remember they put out like they had a debut album that was quite Southern hardcore,
Yes.
and then everything past that just kind of was not
No.
like very like Rise Records
Yeah,
hardcore.
which is probably how. Yeah, that's probably how it happened. Is I probably liked the first one, and then I can't like some of this shit is just so. It's crazy to me that like some of this shit is like 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. Like,
Well, exactly. And when did this article was it published? April 2nd, 2020. So like this is a brand new article
it
that
was.
they're saying the top 10 Southern hardcore bands. So
Wow, you're still relevant, my friend. You are.
yeah, that
That
makes
is.
me smile so big.
That's fucking huge.
That's funny. I got tagged in that on Facebook a little while ago, and I just briefly checked it. I was like, oh, Alternative Press finally giving us a little, because we've never had any sort of connection with them. And now they're giving us a nod as
I love that.
10.
That's. Hey, maybe now's the time to. Well, and I was gonna ask you like if there's any kind of inkling of like ever getting the boys back together and kind of doing anything like that. Like, but I don't know. Like you said, quarantine time, right?
It's 22. Yeah, it's a weird time to be alive. Anything's possible right now. I'll say that.
Yeah.
What else can I say? I I've been demoing a lot of heavier stuff
Yeah.
that I'm not releasing to the public for good reason. So
Mhm.
these are all good signs of something happening, right?
They're all excellent signs.
But I don't know what for sure, and I don't know when for sure, and I don't know. There's no guarantees when it comes to anything like Holly Springs. That's for
No.
sure. But I think I've been consistently vocal, at least for the past like. So we did our reunion. One of our good friends passed away after that, and pretty much ever since then, I've been quite vocal that I want to either get back together or do more shows. Really, what I want to do is write.
Yeah.
I want to, like what we were talking about earlier, I want to finish what we'd started.
Totally.
If we were to ever do anything, it wouldn't be about putting out those records that we had written back then, but more so writing something that actually means something to us about everything that we've been through since then. And a big part of that is, like I said, we lost our friend Brock, who was he was our guitar tech, and he filled in on guitar with us whenever somebody had a broken hand or something
Right.
crazy. Um, yeah, and he meant like the world to us. And a lot of, like, we didn't talk about it in the documentary too much. I don't think at all. And yeah, we have never really touched on it, but that hurt. That separated us all in a. We couldn't come back and do more music stuff because we planned after we did the Damn Force shows to do more and to get back together. But that happened with our friend, and a few. I'll just take my own because I can only speak for myself. I went to a dark place
Yeah.
for a while. I would have been it would have been so bad for us to try and push forward at that time and try and become a band again, for mental health and addiction reasons. It would have been We might have been looking at another life or two not being here with us with the kind of choices that I was making at that time.
Right.
Um, but with me getting sober and me putting out all the music I did last year, um, what I can say is those two actions are some of the things that brought me back together with my boys.
Right.
It was them reaching out after seeing me, come clean about, wanting to get help and start recovering and living a sober life. That got a few of them reaching out to me again. And then when the world heard Fake Friends, that record did really well for me. And not only just Holly Springs guys, but a lot of my music friends reached out then and were just like, dude, you've got to do more of this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had guys reach out from all over North America that have offered their skills up to do those new kind of heavy songs that I'm doing. And there's some lineups that I could have put together that'd be like super group type shit, right? But
Fuck.
I'm just, I'm still kind of holding out on it. I would love for the um, the inspiration of me writing new music and living a better life. I would love if that could also inspire another Holly Springs record. I think that would be a really healthy full circle for the band and the image, and just for everybody that we've drug along this journey with us over this past 15 years, 10 years, however long it's been.
Yeah.
um I think that would be a cooler ending than, yeah, this mythical EP, and then these huge shows, and then a very sad ending.
Yeah.
To me it's still sad, so we'll see. We'll see, man.
No,
All I do is try and be a good person, write a lot of good music, and hope that kind of energy is going to bring the people that I want back into my life, and they'll trust me to do music with me again. So we'll
well,
see.
and I mean that's really all you can do to kind of that's the best way you can be living your life right now, and that's fucking killer. That's super commendable, and I'm super stoked for you. Like, even just hearing how stoked you kind of sound about like the possibilities
Hmm.
of like that shit happening, gives me as a fan hope that like maybe one day we'll be able to see that and kind of um like you said, no promises. It is what it is, but
Hmm.
having that kind of knowing that like that it possibly could happen is pretty fucking cool.
Hmm.
Really,
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah. Never say never. I'll try anything twice. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. What else can I like? I think the biggest thing about I need to get back on stage. Um,
I would
because
agree.
it's very like therapeutic for me as a human. Um, so like the only things I can promise is like when this the social distancing stuff has calmed down and we're all a little more comfortable going out in public again, I'm going to start doing concerts. And probably not a ton, but a few a year. And and if that ever trickles over into me having, like, when I do those shows, I'll have a little band with me and stuff, but all I can hope is that kind of stuff was what's going to inspire us all to kind of get back into doing it, because you know I know I can speak for all of us. There is nothing like being on the stage as Holly Springs and then having that reception coming back to us. There's no feeling like that. The only thing in my life that has felt better than performing with Holly Springs is having my daughter. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
And everything else is beneath that.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of cool shit other than music, and it just doesn't touch it. So I'm gonna hit the stage again, and I hope that Holly Springs one day could hit the stage again too. And what I can promise is I'll never be the one stopping that. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, I have faith.
There's no one person stopping it either. It's not like that.
No.
It's become a thing where it's a little bit of a monster now. It's a little bigger than all of us even. I mean, the guy who books us is now like fucking Post Malone's booking agent. So it's just.
What?
Oh, yeah. Like, it's become this thing where it's like, it's bigger than us.
Huh.
All of it. Everything behind it. Like, those damn 4 shows really was what we were like, oh, fuck. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Live Nation wanting to work with us and stuff. And we're like, what? You guys, they put on a show for us like at the peak of our craziness. It was at what's that venue in Toronto? Mod Club.
okay.
And I remember it. They were like, we are never booking these guys again, because that was a show where like the fire marshal came because there was so much pot smoking going on in there, and like the fire alarms went off, and then, but that's the thing. You go 10 years later and you do a show where a shitload of people show up and all of a sudden they all want to work with you again. That's why the music industry, someone like Chris Brown can beat up Rihanna and 15 years later still have a music career.
Yeah.
There's just
because
so many greedy people that as soon as they see money, they're like, fuck the past.
Yeah, exactly. I remember one show you guys played in Airdrie. Do you know what show I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
The Starlight Room or whatever the fuck. It was, I don't know, it was at like a hotel, and it was like a ballroom.
Starlight Room is
Edmonton. That's Edmonton. No, it was what the hell?
It was attached to a hotel.
Yes.
A girl fell down the stairs that night and smashed out all of her teeth.
Yep.
I remember that.
And I remember that. That show was also with Danger Boys.
Yeah.
And that was a messy show. Like
Very.
there were holes in the walls when we were done, and
police got called that night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was a fun show. In quotes.
Yeah.
Like that was messy. That's one of the messiest shows I've ever been to. And I know that Parkway Drive played the same venue like after you guys. And it was,
oh wow.
And it was,
so they still let people do shows there afterwards.
Or no, sorry, Parkway Drive played the Legion. And it was less crazy than the Holly Springs show at, oh my god, it was fucking.
We just bring out trouble. We always attracted trouble.
Oh, I love it. It was fucking incredible. Tell me that second tour story.
Oh god. Also on the same tour, that first original summer coming out of high school, my band played with the Full Blast for like all the dates between the Warped Tour dates. We toured with the Full Blast just to kind of cover the country.
Right.
So we're probably 3 days after Warped Tour. We're just outside of Vancouver. We played Maple Ridge, British Columbia.
Yep.
All right. And the show was not good. As like all the shows were not good. When you're that size of band, they're small. Like no one's coming. Sorry, but that's how it works when you're starting.
Yeah.
We get done the show though. We met a couple cool locals that were like, "Hey, you guys want to go party tonight?" Um, we were down, and they were like, "There's this old abandoned, it's like a mental health hospital, like prison hospital thing, and it's abandoned, and it's in the woods, and it's all creepy." We're all game. We love that shit.
Right.
So we meet them over in this kind of secluded neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood too, from what I remember. We park. There's three bands. So there's us, the Full Blast, and a band from Detroit called Alucard. They were a cool punk band.
Right.
We go up to this very interesting abandoned old building, and as we're leaving the path, we like go onto a path between these houses, and there's a group of guys standing there just kind of like shooting the shit in their driveway, just guys hanging, and they're drinking. And we were like, "Hey, is this the way up to the abandoned prison?" And they're like, "Yeah, man." Didn't think anything of it. We get up there, we're playing around at the abandoned prison. Then all of a sudden, one of the kids that led us there like runs up to us out of the trees, and he's like, "We got to get the fuck out of here." And we're like, "What?" And he's like, "We got to get the fuck out of here. I was hiding at the entrance to try and scare you guys when you came back out, and that group of guys just called their buddies in, and there's like 20 dudes down there with fucking bats, and they're all skinheads." Yes.
Whoa.
And our crew is like, our band's all white guys. Full Blast is all white guys. Alucard is all different ethnicities, like everyone you could imagine. I think they had a black guy, they had a Middle Eastern guy, it was all different colors.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and we were all like, this was at the peak of like scene, like we were all quite, like I remember being called an F word that night. The
Yeah.
that one we
F-
don't say anymore.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like hate involved with this, and we got jumped. We got jumped by these guys. Drummer of Full Blast took a head on straight to the face with a baseball bat. Had like 30 stitches.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and dude, we were saved. Like I didn't do shit. I'll be honest. I was so scared. Um, I basically I think I took one hit and then just like kind of ran away like a little wuss would, right? One of the kids that led us to this party turned out to be, he was like, he was going to university on a full ride he was like a speed swimmer.
Okay.
So this motherfucker was just like jacked and had arms that were like 7 feet wingspan on him. But he's 18 years old, so he's our age too. He's just a kid. This guy got a bat from one of those and he KO'd 3 or 4 of those guys with a bat and got them all to retreat. One guy.
That's amazing. Holy.
This kid, whoever that kid is from Maple Ridge, he's the most badass kid I've ever met, and I never got to hang out with him or talk to him ever again. And yeah, we finished that tour and we all had like PTSD.
No shit.
Like, big time. And especially the Full Blast, because their drummer, he was like the oldest out of all of us. So when they kind of came up, he was like, yo, we didn't mean to be trespassing. Like, we're all good. We're going to go home. Bang. And you know what? It was an aluminum bat or else it was a 40. Because I remember it being like the grossest sound. So it was either a smash or like a ping with an aluminum bat off the head. Dude.
Yeah,
it was so real. Like growing up in Weyburn, the only thing you see is a fist fight.
Totally, yeah.
You know? Like literally the worst thing you see is a guy getting knocked out. And like that's kind of often because we're all tough prairie boys.
Yeah. I grew up in a small town too, so I know exactly. I've seen my fair share of fucking.
Yeah, and fist fights, like,
yeah,
you don't get PTSD from that being from a small town. You're used to it.
Yeah, you just pull your boys off each other, and you're like, "Fuck, have a beer, grow up."
The fight, and then you usually like whoever those fight between that group of friends. You usually kind of make friends with that group of friends. Then after the fight too, you have respect for each other. This was totally different, and it like put the fear of God in me. I never forgot that. Whenever I toured, I looked over my back, and like Holly Springs, we got jumped many a times, and I just by that time was ready for shit and like,
well, that kind of thing, like that's such a hate fueled attack that of course that would like instill some sort of, because you're seeing humanity at its absolute fucking most vile. So
Yeah.
of course that's going to leave a mark on you.
Oh hell yeah. Yeah, it really changed, and it's sad. That was my first tour,
Yeah.
so I've talked about it a little bit, but like touring was always fun, but there was a lot of anxiety attached to it for me.
Right.
Just
You
worrying about shit.
so you wait, you and Holly Springs, you guys got jumped a lot, you said?
At least 3 different times we got in like full on altercations where like pretty much all of us had to defend ourselves.
What?
Yeah,
Where? Like in Canada or in fucking in the States?
always in Canada.
Whoa.
In Stouffville, Ontario,
Okay.
we got jumped with the Riviera heist.
Oh fuck. Yes, I remember the Riviera heist.
Hayden broke his foot, and our guitar player broke his hand that night.
Jesus
And
Christ.
yeah, in London, Ontario, 2 of us got jumped, but this was at the point where I was kind of coming into my own as not minding fighting.
Right.
So we got jumped, but we did fine.
Okay.
But I broke my hand on that. So there's a tour where all the videos you'll see, I have a cast on my hand. That happened. And then in Whitby, all in Ontario.
I was gonna say they're all in on, which actually kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
if I may say.
Well, exactly. And there's this weird thing in Ontario of like a lot of aggression at the shows, but a lot of like fake aggression where as soon as these like prairie boys are there, they don't differentiate. Like I couldn't tell what was real and what wasn't. So then all of a sudden a fight breaks out over something it shouldn't have. And
Yeah.
like the last time we got in a, oh shit, 4 times.
Oh boy.
Because twice it was venue involved.
Oh.
Twice it was a security guard doing something to one of us. And then me and our tour manager, Matt, who still lives in Moose Jaw, you probably met him when you were at the Cube.
He might have been there too, yeah.
Got a really deep voice.
Yeah.
Um, me and Matt are like the friend that everybody wants. Cause dude, if Matt saw anything happening with any of us, he was flying in there in a hurry. And if I saw anything happening with any of us, I was jumping in there. So on 2 separate occasions, Matt defended one of our guys over some shit that I won't talk about and got into a fight with security. And then we're fighting security at our own show and having to leave and like call the promoter to get our fucking guarantee wired to us. And
Wow.
and then the other time it was me. I watched Matt get beaten up by a security guard, and then I jumped the security guard, and then the security guard.
Wow.
Yeah, whiskey. That's what fuels all of that.
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Brought to you by whiskey.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There's a great example of why I don't drink. Because
Yeah.
like I could not imagine myself getting into a fight sober.
No. That shit would
Like
hurt
I'm
too
not
much.
that kind of guy. I'm not.
No.
Like I really am not.
No.
Anyone that has grown up with me, all my buddies out here, like I got some tough ass farm boys surrounding me, and I was always the artsy. I was singing in music, like in musicals, and like I played hockey. I can throw a punch and take a punch, but I'm not a.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, add whiskey, and then my friend's getting hurt, and I'm just a fighter.
You're gonna jump in there. So speaking of hockey, we are in our most isolated and in our darkest time of need for sports. We don't have it.
Yep.
And you're a Maple Leafs boy, aren't you?
Oh yeah,
That's your
big
team.
time.
So they're doing pretty well before shit got shut down. They're 12th overall and 3rd in the division.
They were doing okay. They had some hot spots this year and then some really terrible runs. Matthews was looking beauty.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I wasn't very happy with our performance this year, to be honest. But I mean, fuck, man, I would just take any hockey right now.
No, I know. I was telling my friend yesterday. I was like, fuck, I would kill for a fucking soccer game.
Yeah.
Just like anything, just any little bit of. I've been playing NHL on the PlayStation just to fucking fill. I'm an Oilers guy, so I know. I live in
Wait,
what?
and you're in Calgary
Yeah,
though, right?
I live in Calgary, but I'm in. Okay, you want to hear? I live in Calgary.
Oh,
I
I
don't.
unplugged my headphones. Just one sec.
Oh,
Oh God. And I can hear you again.
all
Sorry
right,
about that.
all good. So I live in Calgary, but I don't support any of the Calgary teams. So I'm an Oilers fan, and then for the CFL, I'm a Rough Riders fan. I know it doesn't make any sense.
You just wow. Did anything cause these
Yeah,
situations, or are you just a big sports fan and you really like you found your
no,
teams? Like,
I wasn't actually a big sports fan until probably about, I guess, 15 years ago. Like
okay,
growing up as a kid, it like sports were never really my thing. So I'd say about 2000 and well, okay, so about 2006. It was the last time the Oilers went on their cup run, and I kind of got into it because all my friends were Oilers fans. Because we grew up in a small town just outside of Calgary,
okay,
so like we were removed 10 minutes enough to be like, yes, we're all Oilers fans. Fuck Calgary. Um, but it was just like the frenetic energy of like, oh shit, like this is kind of fun. Like I want to get in on this, and then I just kind of got it from that. And then on top of that, my one of my best friends, all of his family's from Saskatchewan, so they're of course all Rough Riders fans. So again, it's just
yeah,
like the frenetic energy of like, all right, I guess I'm a Rough Riders fan because I'm not really a big football guy, but I'll fucking watch the Grey Cup every year.
right.
Like, and I watch the Super Bowl every year, but I don't follow the NFL. Hockey's the one that I really follow. And like, yeah, the Oilers were doing real well this year.
Dude, they were looking gorgeous.
I know.
The way that Draisaitl and McDavid can just like they might be the two most dominating players the league has seen together since like I don't know Curry and Gretzky or something like that.
I yeah, and I mean like cuz even with like Crosby and Malkin, like they're definitely like really in tune players, but like and like but like watching, you're right, watching Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, it's fucking magic.
Yeah,
It's absolute magic. Even just what like when McDavid was kind of out sick or hurt or whatever, just watching Draisaitl by himself, like, oh my god. And
yeah,
Nugent Hopkins has fucking stepped up huge this year.
yeah. But you know what? I he kind of always was. I felt like going under the radar, and then finally this year when the team picked up, he picked up too. Dude,
Absolutely.
do you know who's my favorite Oiler?
Who?
Cassian. Dude,
Cassian is
he
a fucking beauty.
oh, he's my like those are my favorite players. If you like the Leafs are my favorite team. Matthews is probably my favorite player just because
Of course.
but my favorite players to watch in the NHL are guys like Patrick Maroon
Yep.
and well, I mean, I used to love Lucic. I've lost a little bit of patience for him. He's kind of, I don't know.
He hasn't you know what? I went to 3 Flames games right before they shut down,
Yeah,
and like watching him play, like it just I he hasn't found his place on he didn't find his place with the Oilers, and he hasn't found his place with the Flames yet. He's kind of just like he's struggling.
yeah. There's something in his head going on because he's still like, I don't know. I worry he's got one of those big guy syndromes going on. You know, they struggle with a lot of substance abuse and depression, a lot of those big fighter guys. So
Yeah,
I worry about that with Lucic. I see it in his eyes sometimes, like he's partying too much.
it could
Who's
be.
an who's another big boy I love? Those are the kind of I like the power forwards.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even have to be a power forward like Ryan Reeves. I mean, I just love the big guys that are good at playing hockey, but also like the guys that are still willing to fucking drop the mitts. Oh,
Yeah. My other team is St. Louis. So
oh,
like you can imagine how fucking awesome last year was.
hell yeah.
And like Ryan O'Reilly, I'm going to get an O'Reilly jersey I guess in the off season. Once we can go out and get jerseys. I want to get an O'Reilly jersey so bad. That dude is fucking incredible.
You almost look like you could be a sibling of his
Yeah, a little
with
bit.
that
With
beard.
the fucking beard, yeah.
Yeah, bud.
I need to lose a tooth or two.
Lose it. Yeah. To be an O'Reilly, you got to be missing a tooth. Yeah, dude. I jumped on, like, I like St. Louis always. They have Schwartz from Regina.
Yep.
So I just kind of like that connection. And then playoffs last year, though, I jumped right on that bandwagon. And dude, so many good hockey players on that team.
Oh yeah, it's their team is fucking unreal, and they're doing real well again this year.
Yeah, and people were like, they weren't able to sign everyone they needed. They won't be able to do it again.
Well, I mean, fuck it, whatever. Pittsburgh did it. St. Louis can absolutely fucking repeat. Although, what do you think? Do you think we're gonna get hockey back this summer?
No.
You don't think so? You think it's just done?
Done.
Wow. I mean, that's bleak.
I know it is. I mean, oh God. I just got an emergency alert on my phone.
For what?
Well, I get like alerts with the health.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
But it's nothing new. It's just keep isolating.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Best case scenario, maybe they do like a round robin style tournament, figuring out because like what are they gonna do? Really, they got to get a Stanley Cup champion because the season's done.
Well, at this point, yeah, because the season ends tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's you're right. It's the season's done, so it's kind of.
And they've done shorter seasons than this before.
Yep.
And then they still had the Stanley Cup Finals. Honestly, dude. Okay, I hate to be the bummer on this podcast, but I don't think there's going to be. Okay, if they do it, there won't be anyone in the crowd.
Yeah.
There's going to be no large gatherings like that, I don't think, until the end of the summer.
No, yeah, it's going to be
like 20,000 people in an arena. I just don't see it happening.
Which almost kind of like which to that point almost kind of begs the reasoning behind like, well, what's the point of doing it? Because if the players can't share it with the fans, there's not like, what's the point in winning the Stanley Cup then?
Yeah.
Because you're winning it to an empty arena, and it's almost kind of like, all right, they'd almost be better off just cutting the season short, not awarding. Because if you go and look at somebody pointed it out, if you go and look at like the Wikipedia list of like Stanley Cup winners, there's like one time it wasn't awarded, and I'm pretty sure it was like the Spanish flu.
Right.
Because that fucking cut their season short and they couldn't play.
I think you're right. In like
1918 or whatever.
18.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
wow.
it's like, yeah, we're dealing with a global pandemic right now. Like, as much as it fucking hurts, because obviously both my teams were doing killer, and I was having a lot of fun watching them every night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what that would do for them. I don't know because we like San Jose was posting about or saying that they were going to start doing games with no fans in the arena.
Yeah.
To mitigate that. And I was actually kind of interested. I was actually going to watch the first one just to kind of see what that did to the gameplay, because that's going to be weird. Like,
yeah,
you'll just hear the puck slapping and you'll hear the players yelling at each other.
Yeah. Well, and like they're doing WrestleMania this weekend without a crowd. Hey,
are you going to watch it?
Fucking right, I am, because
yeah,
I have nothing else to watch. Have I watched a WrestleMania in the past 10 years? No.
Oh, I've watched it every year.
I haven't. I grew up loving wrestling, but I haven't watched it since.
Well, and apparently it's airing on Sunday, but it's pre-recorded, so they're recording it ahead of time. They're not doing it. They're not doing it live, from what I understand.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, I you know what? I might have to fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that they're pre-recording it.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it.
Yeah, because it's gonna be fucking weird. Did you see the Stone Cold thing where he was like on 316 day, where there was like a little clip and he was like yelling to the empty audience and he was like,
"No,
oh my god, go find that clip. It is so fucking funny." Because he's doing like, "Can I get a hell yeah?" to an empty arena, and it's just like nothing. What?
Googling it. Oh, found it. Okay. Yeah. Cool. I'll watch that after or do you want me to watch it now so I can comment on it?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. We've been going for 2 hours, so we can probably cut her short because I really want to know what that band was as well. So
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah,
jump
yeah.
off the line yet. But I'm a transition. I want to. Oh wait, no. Before we go, I want to point out that yesterday you posted MikeFroh.com is live,
Yes, it is.
and so everybody go to MikeFroh.com. He's got all of his music up there. He's got a bunch of merch for sale. Oh, and he's got a puppy.
Mhm.
So in times like this is a great way that we can help support artists and people, creatives in this like quarantine time, by going and buying merch and stuff like this. So go to MikeFroh.com, check out all the stuff he's got for sale and whatnot. And man, this has been an absolute fucking pleasure. Like
Hell yeah.
this is the most fun podcast I've ever done in my life.
Hell yeah. I
I
had a good time too, buddy. It
that
went really well.
oh this was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for doing it. This is an absolute honor.
No problem, brother.
Cool. I'm gonna end this stream.
Awesome.
And